You hear it everywhere. You've probably heard it in a yoga class, maybe in a meditation class. The teacher is saying, you need to empty your mind. That's really hard, right? And if you Google how to empty your mind, you get all these articles that tell you things like, you know, just do this meditation or do that meditation. It's still very abstract. So today I want to talk about what it really means to have an empty mind and how we can practically apply that in our daily lives. So, first of all, when I say having an empty mind, what I mean is having less resistance. When your mind is full, there's like a lot of friction. Things aren't flowing. You feel kind of stuck. You might even feel a little bit itchy. You just don't feel quite right. Sometimes our mind is just kind of noisy. There's a lot going on in there, and sometimes we don't know why we're feeling off center or off balance. So when we quiet that noise, when we take some time to allow space for things to settle, then we begin to find clarity. Then we can start to think better. We can make better decisions. We can plan more effectively, and we actually get more done. So it's not really about emptying your mind as much as it is about quieting your mind, creating space in your mind. So here are four things that we can do. One, we can write things down. So I was reading an article by Carl Jung, which said that we should use external memory aids. That's a fancy way of saying write stuff down. He says that we should use external memory because our mind is an internal storehouse of energy. And he says that it's only when we are completely emotionally involved in something that we remember it completely. Otherwise, we should use external memory to remind us of what we need to do, what's on our mind, what we're trying to remember. So that could be as simple as using your notes app on your phone, or it could be as simple as writing a grocery list. But writing things down frees up space in our mind. It gets it out of our head so that we do not have to keep thinking about it and worrying about it and fidgeting with it. We can get it all out of our head and put it onto paper. And that's a really powerful thing, too. Another thing that we can do is surrender. This is a big one. We can surrender things to a higher power. Now, I'm not talking about giving up. That's not what I mean by surrender. What I mean is that we have to recognize there are some things that are bigger than us. There are some things that we simply can't control. We can't force things to happen. We can't make things turn out the way we want them to. And so, we have to learn to let go. We have to learn to surrender those things to a higher power, to the universe, to whatever we believe in. Surrendering doesn't feel good sometimes, especially if we're very type A and we like to be in control. But when we practice surrendering, we find that we can let go of a lot of that resistance in our mind, a lot of that heaviness that we're carrying around. And when we do that, we can start to lighten up. We can start to feel better. We can start to think better. Three, another thing that we can do is connect with nature. One of my favorite things to do is to walk outside, to hike, to get into nature. And there's something very centering about being in nature, about looking at the trees, about listening to the birds. It just really quiets my mind. If you can't get into nature, if you can't get outside, then just look at some plants, right? Look at the flowers, look at the greenery. Even if it's in a pot, there's still something very healing, very centering about being around plants. And lastly, we can fast. I'm not talking about food fast, although that can be part of it. I'm talking about input fast. We consume so much information these days. We're bombarded with information. We have news alerts and email alerts and all these different notifications that are constantly vying for our attention. And when we get overloaded with all this input, it's really hard to have clarity, to have mental clarity. So, one thing that we can do is just stop getting the news. You know, unsubscribe from those email lists, turn off your notifications, and if you want to go all in, you can do a social media fast. You can get off your phone, you can get off social media for a few days and see how much clearer your mind is. See how much more focused you are. See how much more productive you are when you're not constantly distracted by the pings and the dings and the buzzes of your phone. So, those are a few things that we can do to have a clearer mind, to create more space in our mind, so that we can think better, so that we can make better decisions, so that we can get more done. Remember, it's not about emptying your mind, it's about quieting the noise, creating space in your mind so that you can think better,